Okay, so we've got the top 5 best jokes from Donald Trump at the Al Smith dinner in New York. It was hilarious. If anything, the guy showed off his comedic timing, which we all know that he's got a comedic timing, but it was hilarious. He not only did he get cheered, but Kamala Harris got booed. So we're going to discuss that, as well as another set of apartment complexes taken over by the Tren de Aragua gang coming from Venezuela, and this time in San Antonio, Texas. We're going to discuss that, and then we're going to talk about the human trafficking ring that was overturned in Florida. 25 illegal immigrants and 3 Disney employees are among 157 suspects arrested in Florida human trafficking ring. Oh boy, we got some wild stuff to talk about, but we'll start with something funny, and you're not going to want to miss it. I'm Jared. This is Continue Freedom. Okay, and welcome back to Continue Freedom. If this is your first time here, welcome aboard. If you're a returning guest, I want to thank you so much for coming back. I truly, truly appreciate it. But for all you new folks, go ahead and do the free thing, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and give us a like and a comment if you really enjoy it. But it doesn't cost you anything, and you'll be notified every time a new video is released. So let's go ahead and talk about Donald Trump at the Al Smith dinner. This was hysterical. First off, his set. Whoever wrote his jokes, so we know that Donald Trump didn't write his own jokes, but good gracious, it was funny. He went savage with an epic comedy set. Kamala Harris, she phoned in a pre-taped bit, and of course she gets booed. So we're going to watch both of these videos. First, let's watch them cheering Donald Trump, but before that, they booed Kamala Harris. And I'm sorry for the audio. I don't know whoever their audio engineer was for this. Shame, shame, shame.
So thrilled to have everybody here. And while we're very sorry that Vice President Harris cannot make it here in person, we will be joined by her later via video. But we couldn't be more thrilled to be joined, of course, by the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump. But I am particularly delighted to have the First Lady also join us.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much for making a very special effort to be here.
Can we just pause for a second and remind ourselves just how classy our First Lady was when Donald Trump was in office? Now, of course, if Kamala Harris gets elected, we're going to have the first gentleman, Doug Emhoff, who beat up his girlfriend and cheated with a nanny. But nonetheless, I think that Melania Trump, it's shameful how she was bashed for so long, for all those years. This classy woman lost contracts with the makeup companies and all these people. Is beautiful, sweet, kind, amazing person, and she just got lambasted in the media for 4 years. But they boo Donald Trump, they boo Kamala Harris, and they cheer Donald Trump. Do I think the Al Smith dinner is in any way indicative or representative of the demographics here in America? No, not necessarily, but I think it was pretty telling. And I think the fact that Kamala Harris didn't show up is probably because they can't afford any negative light on Kamala Harris. If her set wasn't as good as Donald Trump's, then she can't, she couldn't bear that. That's going to hurt her somehow. And so as opposed to showing up, taking a few jabs at each other, and having a lighthearted moment amongst all these divisive politics, nope, they just don't show up at all. They pre-taped something with, I forget the lady's name. It was a cringeworthy set. I'm not actually going to play it. But Donald Trump, here's his top 5 jokes. And we're going to discuss, well, just let's listen to this first.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods. But then I met Tim Walz. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep them away. That's a nasty one. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president. I used to think the Democrats...
Oh, gracious. So his comedic timing is definitely there. And, this is another thing. I don't think that Kamala has the ability to deliver, jokes in a human way like Donald Trump can. I mean, Kamala Harris she's a glossy political facade, right? And nothing behind that glossy facade except someone who can repeat what she's told to repeat by the people who are actually pulling the strings inside of DC. Donald Trump, on the other hand, you could watch him on the campaign trail, and we can see him having conversations with people in barbershops and in grocery stores and wherever. He knows how to communicate to people because he had to do it in real life. Kamala Harris hasn't had to do that. Kamala Harris simply does what she is told, and she can't perform on the political stage as a normal human being. This is why we get the word salad, concoctions of phrases that mean absolutely nothing, because she's simply there to repeat in talking headlines, right? And there's commentators that do that as well on the left and on the right. They just talk in headlines, and it's very frustrating. I think it's frustrating to a lot of Americans. But Donald Trump can relate to the common person, and he did an amazing job. And I think it's a shame that Harris didn't show up, but it is what it is. I guess they see it as, well, it's not going to hurt her that much. Can't hurt her any more than she's already been hurt herself. But it definitely wasn't going to help her because she can't communicate in that way. Now, let's go ahead and talk about something different. And this is going to be a pretty quick episode, so I've only got a couple other things to talk about. But this Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, I've talked about them in Aurora, Colorado, seizing apartment complexes. Now they're expanding their real estate empire, if you want to call it that, to San Antonio, Texas. So they've reportedly taken over at least 4 apartment complexes in the area of San Antonio, Texas, as the gang expands its reach into different locations. TDA, which has been known to run drug smuggling as well as sex trafficking rings in South America, has expanded its influence in the United States as the Biden administration has softened border policies on seeking asylum, as well as drop off in deportations of illegal immigrants charged with violent crimes, according to the Daily Mail. So this is a violent gang. They are into some really bad stuff, drugs and sex trafficking, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. But that is a problem. The slave trade, people that don't know this, the slave trade is about 50 million people worldwide right now. And that comes everything from labor, actual labor, which you can see this was in Libya. This man was auctioned off for $400. There was actually a couple of them, but those are just the ones that we see. Slavery is still a thing today. It is a problem today, but the sex trafficking trade is gargantuan. And we're busting them here, even in America. And Tren de Aragua is a contributor to this. This is 25 illegal immigrants, and 3 Disney employees are among 157 suspects arrested in a Florida human trafficking ring. Excuse me. 16% of these total arrests were people who should not even have been in this country. But they were here, and they were here because we have a federal government that enabled these criminals to come into this country. So 157, this is in Polk County, Florida. If you haven't seen the sheriff, Grady Judd, this is the guy right here down at the bottom. I'm sure you've seen this guy. He's unbelievable. That guy will be sheriff as long as he wants to be sheriff, because he is he's arresting people on human trafficking rings. He's compelling his citizens to shoot people that come into their homes. He is, this is crazy. So he told the news conference Thursday that of those arrested, 47 were prostitutes, 96 were clients, 1 was a human trafficker, and 14 had other charges pending. Judd noted that the eldest client was 61 and the youngest was only 15. He said the group had a total of 327 prior felonies and 400 misdemeanor charges. It's crazy. But Grady Judd is the type of sheriff that every town in America needs, that every county in America needs. And, these guys there's the beauty of sheriffs is that these people they're elected to office. So they are actually beholden to the citizenry in a way that most other people aren't. And he is taking law and order into his own hands, and he is running roughshod over criminals in Polk County. So I think it's a great thing, but as I said before, this is a monstrous problem. Human trafficking is a monstrous problem. And as I was showing you just a minute ago, the slave trade, I say that this is in some of the latest bills that have been pushed on, or not in the latest bills, but, what's the word I'm looking for? I just had a brain cloud. Help me out here. Okay. When they were talking about the border bill that didn't get passed, Kamala Harris has been a talking point of hers pretty consistently, that Donald Trump asked them not to pass this border bill. The Republicans refused to pass a border bill that was going to secure the border. No, this was giving money to NGOs, and the NGOs, whether wittingly or unwittingly, are contributing to this human trafficking epidemic and to the greater slave trade as a whole, which as of today, as of now, there's about 50 million people currently in slavery. And this guy who was being sold in Libya is just one of 50 million people in slavery, in servitude today, whether that is for labor or whether that is for sex trafficking, whatever it happens to be. This is a monstrous problem. And in America, you can see the guys that are pedophile hunters. They are out, they're all over the internet, hunting down these pedophiles, turning them into the police, getting them arrested. But child sex trade trafficking is a gargantuan problem, and one of the top customers, customer nations is America. This is a huge, huge problem. And these NGOs, again, whether wittingly or unwittingly, if they're getting federal dollars that are here to help illegal immigrants and help children get from one place to another, that a lot of these are stripped out of that system, out of that transit, out of being transited from one place to another, and they are sent into the sex trafficking trade or into the sex trade. We're paying for it. Our tax dollars are paying for human trafficking. So if you want to know why, the people in the southern states and why conservatives, and it's because we're aware of this. This is why we are so amped up about the southern border, why we are so amped up about stopping money going to these NGOs and stopping money being funneled into cities to help facilitate the human trafficking or facilitate illegal immigrants. It's because it is facilitating human trafficking, and it's something that has to stop. We have to put it on lockdown. Well, that's all I've got for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave comments below. We're on X Locals, Rumble, and YouTube, and I will see you in the next video. God bless you. God bless America.